Hello and welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Friday the 28th of January and this evening it's Team 2. We're bringing you the local news from around the county, which is taken from this week's Courier with permission. I'm Rebecca and also reading for us tonight is Sarah, just the two of us. Joanne won't be with us tonight as she's got a rather nasty tummy upset and Jane has French visitors staying with her until tomorrow. We do wish Joanne a speedy recovery. Diane is in charge of the recording and editing, which we all very much appreciate. Well, I hope you're enjoying the occasional sunny day and, like me, are looking forward to some more spring-like weather. I have spotted a few brave snowdrops and crocuses peeking through though. Bring on the daffodils and tulips. Now, I don't think there's anything in the postbag, so we can go on with the news.
Big council tax increase. Article by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian households will pay an average £10.37 extra a month in council tax, plus extra costs for bulky uplift and garden waste, with the agreement of the 2025 to 26 budget. Council tax will see an 8.9% increase in West Lothian, slightly above a national average of around 8.8%, but hefty enough to be felt in many homes after a decade of Holyrood-imposed tax freezes. For the Band D taxpayer, 8.9% is an increase of almost £125 a year, while other regular household costs will climb. Conservative councillors won an agreement that the planned £50 bulky uplift charge was not imposed. That charge for five-item uplifts will remain at £38.59. The garden waste permit will rise to £52. Charges for council services will rise an average of up to 5% across the board. These include registration fees, burial and cemetery costs, as well as certain licensing fees. The council still faces a shortfall counted in millions of pounds and has had to find an extra £2.1 million of cutbacks for this year alone. Council leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick told the special meeting of the full council, "I realise that some council taxpayers will be concerned about our proposed increase of 8.95%. No one running an administration in Scotland takes any joy in having to push for this level. I understand that the average increase will be around 8.5% throughout Scotland. Why? The answer is quite simple. We have had 10 years of council tax freezes imposed by the Scottish Government, and within that period we have had to deal with inflation and wage rises, which have caused substantial budget difficulties extending to £172 million. Also, it is a fact that when the SNP took control of the government in 2007 to 8, councils received 28.62% of the block grant that came from Westminster. Last year, the total managed expenditure to councils was 21.38%. That is a cut since the SNP came into power of 1/4, and everything is blamed on Westminster. Both the SNP and Conservative councillors criticised the extra costs loaded onto West Lothian by the rise in national insurance contributions and rising thresholds. Answering a question from the Conservative group leader, Damien Doran-Timpson, the acting head of finance, Kenneth Ribbons, said the costs facing the council were an extra £6.6 million, with an extra £2.2 million in contractor costs in social care as a result of the increases. SNP group leader, Councillor Janet Campbell, said the increased costs from NI contributions amounted to £700 million, of which Holyrood had only been passed on £300 million from Westminster. To date, there has been no indication that these extra costs will be met in full by Westminster. Some councils, including neighbouring Edinburgh, have had indications that a decision will be taken by the Chancellor in time for her spring statement on March 26th. The majority of West Lothian's savings measures were agreed 2 years ago and are implemented over a 5-year period. However, more measures have had to be agreed in order to allow the council to balance its budget.
The opposition say the tax rise is caused by mismanagement, and Janet Campbell of the SNP put forward some alternative proposals. The opposition SNP group proposed an alternative budget calling for investment in registration services and the development of streaming services such as Marriage, which the party argued could generate more funds through an upgrade of service suite. The party had proposed a swift introduction of a wider decriminalised parking enforcement with added charges and protection of community centres. However, both of these issues were ruled out by standing orders as already being in the council decision-making process. Their 11-page budget paid broad attention to the achievements of the Scottish Government in Holyrood and the threat to the Grangemouth refinery complex in the neighbouring Falkirk Council area. Councillor Janet Campbell told the meeting, "The rise in council tax today is entirely caused by the Labour Party decisions, financial mismanagement and incompetence by Labour politicians at every level. In addition, monies paid back in PFI projects by Labour administration was £18.6 million last year alone. This SNP budget is one in which we seek to strengthen our social contract with the people of West Lothian. It is based on fairness, but has, by necessity, had to take account of the decisions by the Labour Party. It protects public services rather than spending to save rather than austerity." The Tories called for the protection of threatened nurseries and the introduction of one-off payments to protect services, with Councillor Damien Doran-Timson criticising the SNP budget for wanting to charge parking fees for country parks. He slated the Holyrood administration for its expenditure of £6.6 billion on quangos and the £30 million spend on the abandoned National Care Service. He added, "But our budget challenges today are not just caused by years and years of cuts to local governments by the SNP. Without doubt, one of the biggest challenges we face is down to the Labour government to increase the national insurance and reduce the threshold. Provost, just like across Scotland, the residents of West Lothian face the worst possible scenario, a nightmare, an economically incompetent Labour government and an SNP in Holyrood who have literally no idea, not a plan and not a clue." West Lothian had originally planned to increase council tax by 5.8% this year. However, it has now been confirmed by the Scottish Government that only 60% of national insurance contributions will be funded and passed down to councils. And therefore, an increase of 8.95% is proposed to meet the unavoidable cost associated with changes to employees' national insurance contributions, particularly for health and social care service. A wide range of budget savings have already been agreed at last year's budget setting meeting and will be implemented further from April. Examples include internal savings through reviewing admin support and streamlining processes to reduce costs, internal management structures and reduction in staff numbers in some areas, and no filling of vacancies and management restructures. Over £2.1 million of additional savings proposed to help meet the increased funding gap have been approved for next year. These include internal efficiency savings in staffing, property, supplies and services and transport budgets.
Councillors back £100 million capital plan of action. Stuart Somerville. A 3-year £100 million capital investment programme that will bring more new social housing and upgrades to council stock in West Lothian has been approved. Councillors agreed the spending plan alongside a rent-setting programme which will see rents rise by £3 a week. A £17 million programme will see new homes built and more buybacks by the council, and £33 million will be spent in an extensive renovation programme for the existing housing estate. Councillors agreed to the plans in a special meeting of the full council on Monday. The new build programme will deliver 150 new council houses, including both new build and open market acquisition additions, also known as buybacks, where the council buys properties to create council homes. This will deliver an overall total of 427 new council houses over the 3-year course of the investment programme. Approximately £33 million is planned to be spent to improve and maintain existing housing, ensuring council homes continue to meet the Scottish Quality Housing Standard. Works include projects to deliver energy efficiency measures, central heating replacements, aids and adaptations, electrical testing and repair, and external wall insulation upgrades. 14 individual projects will cost £17.9 million. These include a variety of upgrades consisting of long-term maintenance work where structural elements such as roof and external walls are beyond repair. Planned programme works of £31.6 million will take place, covering a broad range of activities, including kitchen and bathroom replacements, window and door refurbishments, painting and fencing programmes. General environmental upgrades will cost £638,000. This programme will include tenant-led street improvement projects. Officers said this week that although many of these works are of a small scale, these projects can have a substantial impact on local amenities and will be informed by council tenants and local communities. Councillor Robert Debold, the opposition SNP group's housing spokesperson, raised a verbal amendment against a Labour motion passing the investment plans without the political claims it said the motion had contained in outlining the administration's record. Councillor Pauline Stafford, the Depute SNP group leader, defended the Scottish Government's record on housing investment. She highlighted that Holyrood had greenlit £768 million in housing investment, equivalent to 19% per 1,000 people, compared to only 11 per 1,000 by the Labour-controlled Welsh Government in Cardiff. The amendment was defeated in a vote. Executive Councillor for Housing George Pauls said after the meeting, "We remain committed to the delivery of new, high-quality, affordable housing, with funds allocated towards increasing the social housing stock in areas of high demand in West Lothian."
Driver saves Jamie's life with CPR at the side of the road. The cyclist urges others to learn vital skill after cardiac arrest. And this article is by Michael Pringle. A Bathgate man who had a cardiac arrest while cycling on a quiet country road is urging people to learn CPR. Jamie O'Kane, 60, collapsed in front of a motorist while out riding his bike early on a bank holiday Monday last May. Thankfully, the car was driven by quick-thinking Darren Neal, who realised stricken Jamie's heart had stopped. Darren, 41, from East Calder said, "It feels like everything was set up for Jamie to survive that morning. It was an isolated road, and as I drove up the hill, 2 cyclists went ahead of me, so I was unable to overtake them. Suddenly, the guy on the right-hand side veered across the road and went head-first into the kerb. I stopped the car and jumped out thinking he had a puncture because the front of his bike just buckled. He was crumpled between the pavement and the road, and I could see he was unconscious and was starting to make noises, fitting and groaning. Darren dialed 999 and then sprinted 80 yards to find a street name for the call handler. As Darren had coached his daughter's swimming lessons, he had been taught CPR and began compressions on Jamie's chest. A cardiac nurse passing in her car stopped and took over from Darren until an ambulance arrived a few minutes later. Paramedics used a defibrillator, managing to start Jamie's heart at the side of the road. The ambulance was piloting a scheme in which they had a doctor on board who was able to anaesthetise Jamie immediately, which quickly relieved the pressure on his heart. Jamie, from Bathgate, was placed in an induced coma for 4.5 days, during which time Darren was profoundly impacted by his experience. I spent the next day trying to find out if he was okay and whether he'd survived, said Darren. The feedback from hospital was I'd done it right, although I'd broken his sternum. If I wasn't there, he might have died. But I found it very difficult to talk about, and I'm worried, thinking I could have run faster or done the CPR better, says Darren. Speaking to a friend in the fire service helped to reassure him that doing something was better than nothing, not least because so many people don't know what to do. It was amazing to hear that Jamie was okay. I don't think I have cried so long in my life with so much emotion, said Darren. When Jamie was brought out of the coma, he had no memory of the incident. He was more concerned for his cycling buddy Dougie, who'd gone into shock at the incident and who also had to be treated by paramedics. People couldn't believe that I'd had a cardiac arrest, said Jamie. I was known as the fit, strong guy. Before he was discharged from hospital, Jamie was fitted with an ICD, an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, as a precaution. Jamie waited 12 days before venturing out on his bike again, but when he began feeling lightheaded, he stepped off the bike to sit down, and his ICD shocked him back into a normal heart rhythm. It was painful, like having a hard punch in the chest, and when they later looked at the data from the ICD, they said I'd had another cardiac arrest and had an abnormal heartbeat. Jamie has now sadly had to hang up his bike helmet, but he remains positive and is happy that he's still around to spend precious time with his wife Samantha. I have an exceptional wife and she's helped me to get through this and come to terms with not riding again. Jamie has also forged an important new friendship with Darren, and they speak every few days. Both Darren and Jamie are now urging the public to keep hearts beating this Heart Month by learning CPR. Darren is now volunteering to teach CPR to other people. I was saved and believe we all need to look after each other, said Jamie. It's not just about the person beside you that you know, but the stranger passing on the street. Jamie's cycling clubs have supported him in raising awareness and funds. West Lothian Clarion held a CPR training session and raised £650, and Linlithgow Cycling Club raised £1,000. David McColgan, head of BHF Scotland, Jamie owes his life to Darren, who by chance was in the right place at the right time and was able to give him CPR that morning. But you just never know when that day will come, and you must ask yourself, will you be ready? It's easy for everyone to learn CPR for free in just 15 minutes with BHF Revive R. Help us keep hearts beating by learning CPR this Heart Month. To learn CPR in 15 minutes, visit www.bhf.org.uk Heart Month. And there's a really nice photograph of Darren and Jamie. Jamie is sadly standing with his bike, but Darren looks very happy to be there with him.
Train seizure terror sparks 999 outrage. Article by Chris Gorley. The Scottish Ambulance Service has apologised after not attending an emergency call as a 4-year-old boy suffered a horror seizure on a packed train. Natasha McCormick, 26, and her 4-year-old son Jax from West Lothian were enjoying a day out in Edinburgh alongside Dad Declan and their 3 other kids and Natasha's parents on Saturday, February 15th, when Jax dropped to the floor on the train journey home. Jack, who has epilepsy but had not suffered a seizure in over 2 years, had what the family describe as a tonic-clonic seizure in front of worried onlookers. A tonic-clonic seizure happens in 2 stages, starting with a loss of consciousness before the body going stiff, sometimes leading to the person falling to the floor. The clonic stage often sees the patient's limbs jerk about and they may bite their tongue and have difficulty breathing. According to the NHS, the seizure can stop within minutes, but may last longer and can lead to a headache or difficulty remembering what happened. A passenger on board the train frantically dialed 999 and was reportedly told to wait for a clinician to call back. Due to the nature of the incident, the ScotRail train came to a halt and the conductor made another call to the ambulance service. After the youngster regained consciousness, he struggled to speak properly and was unable to recognise his own mum and dad. After being informed an ambulance was not on the way, Natasha made a third desperate call to 999 to ask why an ambulance had not been dispatched as a matter of urgency. Fortunately for Jax, the passenger who made the first call drove the family to St John's Hospital in Livingston, where Jax underwent observations and was kept in overnight. Natasha, who stays just outside Livingston, has now begun the process of making an official complaint to the Scottish Ambulance Service and claims when a clinician did eventually call the train passenger back, they agreed an ambulance should have been dispatched to the scene. Speaking to Edinburgh Live, Natasha said, Jax had his first seizure when he was 18 months old, and it lasted over 30 minutes. It happened in the local shopping centre in Livingston. He stopped breathing, and after that he had 2 more prolonged seizures. At one point he went into apnea, and we had to pull over in the ambulance to bring him back. He would also regress after each one, and his speech would get worse. He is 5 in May, but his speech is not great. We've never actually got to the bottom of what causes the seizures or why he's epileptic. He got put on medication days before his 2nd birthday, and for 2.5 years he was absolutely fine. We spoke to his paediatrician, doctors and the ambulance service in the past, and because of how serious his seizures are, we were told as soon as he goes into one, we are to phone 999 to get an ambulance to us as soon as possible. Jack suddenly took on well around 10 minutes from Livingston South Station. Natasha continued, we had to get him straight into the recovery position. I shouted to a passenger who called the emergency services. While he was still having a seizure, I noticed she had come off the phone. I asked if it was going to be waiting at the station and she said no, a clinician is going to call back. It was like we had called 111. At that point, a conductor stopped the train and also phoned 999 as Jax was paralysed, couldn't move from the waist down and was very confused. We didn't know if he was going to go back into another seizure, so an ambulance should have been sent. I then phoned 999 and said, you're going to have to send an ambulance out. I don't understand why you're not. Admittedly, I got into a heated argument with the call handler, but the other 2 who called were completely calm. The original passenger who made the first call was actually being picked up, so her husband took us to hospital. After the family arrived at the hospital, the passenger received a call from the clinician who reportedly told her they had no idea why an ambulance had not been sent out. Natasha says she spoke with several doctors after she arrived who agreed Jax's seizure was serious enough for an ambulance to be sent to the scene of the incident. The couple is now in the process of making a formal complaint and hope to receive some answers. The mum of 4 added, they need to look at their protocols on what they consider being an emergency, as I just can't wrap my head around why it wasn't taken seriously. A Scottish Ambulance Service spokesperson said, while we are limited in what we can say due to patient confidentiality, we can confirm that the family has been in contact and we are very sorry to hear of their concerns. We will be discussing the case and the actions taken based on the information provided during the 999 calls directly with them. If any learnings are identified through our engagement with the family, they will be implemented in full.
Mum raises £10,000 at Daniel charity concert. And this article is by Michael Pringle. A West Lothian woman enlisted the help of Scotto lottery actor Tommy Heatherstone for a charity concert that raised over £10,000 in memory of her son. Lynn Size, 52, a singer from West Calder who is known as the Rockin' Diva, decided to fundraise for the Diabetes UK charity following the death of her son Daniel. Daniel passed away in June last year, aged just 33 years old. He had been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 22. Daniel just sat down in a chair and never got back up, said Lynn. They eventually put his death down to the long-term effects of diabetes. He had taken a cardiac arrest about 6 years ago and was on life support then. He had been through a lot. Lynn created a bit of a stir during lockdown when a video of her performing the Snow Patrol song Run to entertain her neighbours went viral. It was viewed millions of times. Lynn has performed in clubs and pubs around the country, as well as the Livy Aid Live event, which raises money for Marie Curie. She was formerly part of the fundraising committee. She has been singing for 35 years and previously lived in Gran Canaria, where she worked as an entertainer and first met Coatbridge comedian and actor Tommy Heatherstone, who is also known as Tommy Tucker. Tommy, the face and voice of the Scotto television advert, is well known for his charity work and was only too happy to help out when Lynn briefed him on what she had planned, and he was the host for the evening. The Daniel Size Memorial Concert, a variety show featured a dozen entertainers, was held at Faulthouse Miners Welfare Club, with tickets selling out quickly. Lynn gave an emotional performance herself on the night, belting out a couple of crowd favourites. After a number of people who had missed out on tickets asked how they could donate, an online fundraising page was set up by Lynn. Lynn said, "It all came out of a wee thought I had about a month before Christmas, that I could raise money in memory of Daniel, and it just grew arms and legs. There were 12 different acts, and they were all people I've worked with and have been part of bands. David, the sound engineer I've worked with on the circuit, he had Faulthouse Miners looking like the Glasgow Palladium. You want to have seen it. He was there for 4 hours putting up lights and all sorts beforehand. Tommy and I worked together over in Gran Canaria. We've worked together and been pals for almost 30 years. He's working on River City now as well. We're now sitting at £10,130 at the last count. I knew I was going to raise about £2,500 on ticket sales, but I did not expect to raise all that. My employer, Seika Park, gave us £1,000, which they donated straight to the charity in Daniel's name, and my Just Giving page has £9,130 on it. The Just Giving page contained a written tribute from Lynn to Daniel, which described him as the funniest, most loving lad who lived and breathed family, happiest when surrounded by all his young cousins. She added, "He is missed so much, it physically hurts."
Disco Dot dances her way to £3,500 for kidney charity. Mum waiting for transplant raises cash. Article by Michael Pringle. An East Calder mum who needs a kidney transplant raised over £3,600 for Kidney Research UK. Dot Curry was unaware she had problems with her vital organs until she ended up in hospital in 2022 after suffering a mini stroke. The 64-year-old only realised when a nurse remarked that she couldn't believe Dot was walking at that stage because her kidneys were functioning so poorly. With hindsight, she realised something had been going on, as she was getting breathless climbing stairs to work and was exhausted by the time she reached the top. She said, "When I look back now, I realised that was what was slowly happening to my body. I hadn't been to the doctors for over 30 years because I was never ill." The mum, to a 32-year-old son, has always been the life of the party and is known to friends as Disco Dot. "I just want to raise awareness, as I never had a clue about kidney problems until this happened to me. I won't let it beat me. My goal is to still be on the dance floor when I'm 88. I just feel that I have to do something." Dot decided to organise a charity fundraising night which took place recently at the Village Pub in East Calder. Friend Jenny Kennedy, who helped organise the event, describes Dot as an absolute warrior and the bravest woman she knows, who, despite her ill health, always has a smile on her face. The total raised at the night was £3,606.50. Jenny said it was a great success. It was really good with a great turnout and everyone had a good time. Unfortunately, Dot's not been too well since and has picked up a chest infection and has been really fatigued. Thankfully, she's on the mend now. She was sitting in her chair dancing. Dot added, "It went really well. I'm really pleased with the amount we raised." And there's pictures of Dot in I Am a Kidney Warrior sweatshirt with her friend Jenny, and disco balls and balloons and lights, and everyone's having a great time.
The phenomenal success of the venue as 250 kids sign up to youth groups since relaunch, and this article is by Stuart Somerville. A revitalised youth club is now at the heart of a Livingston community, having signed up 250 children and teens who attend clubs each week. The venue, first set up 15 years ago, has seen phenomenal growth since it relaunched with a range of new regular groups last August. The club was also able to refurbish its Knightsbridge home and install new kitchen facilities thanks to an £8,000 grant from Morrison's. And the food outlet it runs provides a vital service for all ages across the hard-hit area. Jen McCusker, the youth coordinator who was appointed along with new trustees last August, told a meeting of Livingston Now, the local area committee, a redrawn timetable enabled the venue to offer 2 clubs a week to youngsters from primary age up to 17. Alongside sports, there are art and drama clubs as well as practical skills courses. The youth club has forged partnerships with West Lothian College, teaching practical skills to children and teenagers. Youngsters are learning CPR as part of the Junior Duke course, which aims to teach practical life skills and build self-confidence. There are also plans for a film course and a music festival in August. Jen told the meeting, "Everything that has happened has been fed by the young people themselves, and that's why it's working." A community garden is thriving, with contact forged with the Royal Horticultural Society, and the club has achieved a Level 3 award from Scotland Beautiful. Chair of the committee, Councillor Anne McMillan, said, "It's a wonderful report. There's some really positive stuff here. I've known the venue for many years, and I've never seen the growth that there's been and the community engaged with the children and adults." Councillor Andrew Miller, who is a trustee of the venue, said that in the past, Youth Club had struggled to attract 10 youngsters. "I just want to say, to have 250 kids registered, it's phenomenal. It's a massive number. It's great to see them gaining self-confidence, and I think it's going to get better and better." We're going to take a short break while we hear the intimations.
Deaths. Saunders Mary, 5th of the 8th, 1931 to 19th of the 2nd, 2025. Peacefully at Limecroft Care Home, Dedridge, on 19th February 2025, Mary Saunders, beloved wife of James Scott Saunders, Jim, mum of Jim, Mary and Anne, mother-in-law to Donald, granny to Louise, Donald, Jennifer, Ross, and granny to her 10 great-grandchildren. The Requiem Mass, to which all are respectfully invited, will take place at 9:30 on Friday the 7th of March at St Mary's RC Church, Bathgate, followed thereafter by interment in Boghead Cemetery at 10:45. RIP. Co-op Funeral Care, South Mid Street, Bathgate. Make sure your property is secure from criminals. Article by Chief Inspector Elaine MacArthur Care. As we slowly tiptoe towards spring and hopefully improved weather, many people are taking to a spot of gardening and may well carry out some external maintenance to their properties. Criminals can be opportunists who may take advantage and use items left in the garden to their use to enter your property, so here are some points to consider making your home more secure. Working from the outside to inside your home, there are various points you should give consideration to in a bid to help safeguard against criminal activity arising. Within your garden areas, keep hedges and walls low to the front of the property to make it easier for an intruder to be seen, and, where possible, keep bins in an area where they cannot be used as a step to climb fences. If you have tools and ladders, then please lock these away and do not have them lying around, as they could be used to access your home. If you have a garden shed, garage or storage box, Keep it locked when not in use, using a good quality lock, particularly if these outbuildings are used to store high-value items. If you store bicycles within, then take notes or photos of the make, model and serial number, and even consider utilising bike marking and registering it on the National Bike Marking Database. External lighting can help to deter intruders. Consider this along with good quality CCTV. Consider an intruder alarm and where it may cover. Can it extend to outbuildings? If you own a vehicle, always keep it secured. Don't leave valuables in sight and consider where to keep the spare keys. The glove box is not recommended. Moving to your house. There are some positive measures that can be taken to reduce the risk of an opportunist theft. A start point is to consider, how would I get in if I lost my keys? Look at your house and consider how someone may gain entry and what you can do to mitigate this. Don't leave house keys on the inside of locks, under doormats, or anywhere else an intruder may find them. Indeed, even when inside the property, do not store your house keys, car keys, bags, purses, and other valuables within immediate sight or within the entryway of your home. Please also avoid keeping large amounts of cash in the house, but if you are intent on doing so, then invest in high-quality safes and do not disclose their location or access codes to anyone. When not at home, or when you've gone to bed for the evening, remember to lock all doors and windows and draw blinds and curtains so as not to allow would-be criminals with an enticing view of your possessions. These are just some of the actions that can be quickly carried out to make your home and garden safer. And remember, if you can think of a way of defeating your existing security measures, so can a criminal. Any suspicious activity should be reported to Police Scotland by calling 101 or on our webpage scotland.police.uk/contact us/. Alternatively, information can be passed anonymously to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
Thank you for the outstanding work. Charity volunteers are rewarded at the centre, and this article is by Rose Thompson. The Centre Livingston presented personalised framed certificates and a £100 gift card to 2 outstanding volunteers at children's hospitals across Scotland, CHAS. Neil Campbell and Persephone Thompson were given the awards in recognition of their outstanding work to help raise awareness and funds for the children's charity. The aim of the award, which is part of the shopping centre's Supporting the Community initiative, is to pay tribute to the great work by people in the community who have given up their own time to help others. Neil started helping CHAS 2 years ago and has attended many events as a volunteer, including being a reindeer at the Elf Walk, hosted by the Centre, Livingston in 2023, even roping his family and his friends in to join in the fun. Persephone has also attended lots of fundraising events in West Lothian, including the recent CHAS pop-up in the shopping centre. Neil, who also helps organise volunteers for various events, said, "I would just like to thank CHAS for the nomination and the Centre Livingston for the Volunteer Award. This award is for everyone in the cause player team who gave up their own time to attend events dressed up in characters from Marvel to Star Wars. Without their incredible support, I wouldn't be able to do my job. We all work so well as a team. Actually, it's more like a family, to help raise money to support children and their families through one of the hardest things that can ever be thrown at them. It is very kind of the shopping centre to present this award to us in recognition of the work we do to bring lots of smiles and to so many faces when they see their favourite characters at the events." Persephone added, "I'd like to say a huge thank you to the Centre Livingston for presenting me with this amazing award for doing something I absolutely love. It's the best job in the world, being able to make a lot of kids' dreams come true, one character at a time. The best part is seeing their faces light up when they see me, and at the same time being able to raise funds for such wonderful charities, which makes me so happy. This is the third year the shopping centre has partnered with Chaz, which provides the only hospice services in Scotland for children and young people with life-shortening conditions, hosting various fundraising events, workshops and offering free pop-up space. Tess Sundberg, marketing manager at the Centre Livingston, said, "We are delighted to be able to present our volunteer award to both Neil and Persephone and a £100 gift card each in recognition of the great work they are doing for charities like Chaz. There's so many fantastic people in the community going out of their way to help others, which is why we established the awards many years ago and continue to shine a bright light on the commendable work they are doing." Xenia Dove, community fundraiser at Chaz, said, "We at Chaz are incredibly proud of Neil and Persephone and our entire amazing group of cosplayers who combine their love of cosplay with their passion for making a difference. They bring so much joy and magic to our events. The time and dedication they give truly makes a world of difference, helping us to create precious memories for children and families in our care. We are so grateful to the Centre Livingston for their ongoing support and for shining a well-deserved spotlight on our volunteers' amazing efforts. If you know anyone who deserves recognition and a special reward for the great volunteering work they are doing in the community, please send your nominations to inquiries@thecentrelivingston.com." And there's a really nice photograph of Neil Campbell, and I think it's his son, he's standing there very happily holding his award, holding the certificate. And there's another one of Persephone, who has beautiful red hair, and she is also holding up her certificate and her voucher for £100. We're going to take a break now and return. The second part of the recording will start soon after that. And now we're going to start section 2, which has some main news articles and also some sports news.
School Bank to use £2,000 donation to help provide camp clothing packs, an article by Ross Thompson. Miller Homes Scotland East is supporting the School Bank West Lothian with its Community Fund initiative by donating £2,000 to help support local families experiencing financial hardship with school uniforms and other equipment. Miller Homes Community Fund, now in its third year and fifth round of funding, invites applications for funding from charities and community groups across the country. Since its launch in September 2022, 390 groups and charities across the UK have benefited from grants totalling £291,000. In 2024 alone, 31 groups across Scotland received grants. Miller Homes' donation to the School Bank West Lothian will go towards providing schools with camp clothing packs to ensure that every child has a chance to fully participate in school camp trips. Colette Moran, project manager of the School Bank, said, "Attending camp is a milestone for many young people, a chance to explore, bond and create unforgettable memories. Yet, for some, the excitement is overshadowed by the heavy burden of cost. Essential items like waterproofs, sleeping bags and sturdy footwear can feel out of reach for families already struggling financially. These packs open doors to new experiences, skill building and confidence. They create opportunities for young people to bond with peers, make memories and feel part of something special. Just as importantly, they ease the financial strain on families, allowing them to focus on their child's growth and happiness." Neil Gaffney, Regional Sales Director for Miller Homes Scotland East, added, "The work of the School Bank West Lothian is vital to allow children within the community to have equal opportunities despite their background. We are delighted that this funding will go towards easing the financial burden for families that causes children to miss out. For more information on Miller Homes Community Fund and to find out when the next round of funding opens, visit www.millerhomes.co.uk/community funds. And there are 3 members of the food bank demonstrating the ways that have been bought: waterproof jackets for boys and girls, lovely vibrant wellies, gloves, nice socks and warm hats.
Brickworks site will see new homes. The article by Stuart Somerville. An industrial wasteland around the old brickworks and quarry in Armadale is to be transformed into new homes as part of a major regeneration of the area. Up to 550 new homes could be built on the near 66-acre Bathville site, which has become notorious for antisocial behaviour and fly tipping. However, neighbouring businesses fear they may be hit by noise complaints, and neighbours of the site expressed fears that the new housing could bring up to 1,100 cars clogging surrounding residential streets. West Lothian's Development Management Committee heard that the site has long been designated for housing, and councillors welcomed the proposal to redevelop the disused factory site and infill the quarry. An agent for the developers, Christine DL, said, "This represents a long overdue opportunity to develop a site which has been derelict and unsafe for years into a thriving, sustainable community. It will not only deliver housing, but will restore an area plagued by antisocial behaviour, fly tipping and safety issues." She added that AC Land was committed to starting work as quickly as possible at the quarry to begin the regeneration of the site. However, an objection from Willie Connolly, Managing Director of ECCS on the southwestern fringe of the site, raised fears that the noise from his business, which reconditions and manufactures polypropylene pipework, could generate complaints from the new housing, which could force his firm to relocate. Detailed and lengthy discussion took place in the DMC meeting over the noise mitigations in place, which satisfied the planners, but which the firm asserted would not be enough. Experts testified that an earthwork bund and fence totalling 21 feet in height would adequately shield housing from the noise of pipework machinery from the ECCS yard. Mr. Connolly asserted that his firm was a good neighbour and does not run the noisiest machinery after 5 p.m. Nevertheless, he was concerned that noise tests carried out by the applicants, AC Land Generation, had not tested a worst-case scenario and feared that new homes close by would generate a surge in complaints. An acoustics expert for the council assured the meeting that the size of the plant bunt was a first to West Lothian and it would work effectively. Another objector, John Russell, who lives in Watt Avenue, said that whatever access roads were put in, drivers would soon become accosted to the natural shortcuts through his and neighbouring streets. He told the DMC, "Most households nowadays have 2 cars, some have more. So realistically, we are looking at 1,000 plus new additional cars. As things stand currently, there will be a significant increase in traffic through the likes of Watt Avenue, St Paul's Drive and the Marches for eastbound traffic." AC Land Generation sought full planning permission to infill the quarry and permission in principle for the housing development, which includes play areas and open space with footpath links towards Southdale Primary and the town's railway station. Councillors agreed to the plans. The SNP's Willie Boyle said he was keen to support the development, calling for conditions on the noise potential regulation. Chairing the meeting, Councillor Tony Boyle said, "We've heard from the objector and we have heard the sound experts. To my mind, they have taken every possible action to mitigate every possible noise from the business impacting on this development. I think they have done everything they can to mitigate it." Councillor Pauline Clark said, "This is quite an exciting development. 550 houses, 25 of which will be affordable. I hope that social housing will be in amongst that as well, and I also hope the affordable and social housing won't be the closest to where there may be some noise. Councillor Clark added, "The noise is a concern, though the mitigations do appear to be excellent."
Mixed-use site being developed, article by Michael Pringle. Work is now underway on a mixed-use development in Linlithgow that will include a new state-of-the-art care home and luxury apartments for sale. Construction work to transform the vacant and derelict land on Edinburgh Road, close to Linlithgow train station and the bustling town centre, started earlier this month. The 1.6-acre site will be taken forward jointly by leading care home developer Morrison Community Care Group and construction and manufacturing firm CCG Scotland to deliver a 60-bedroom state-of-the-art care home and 18 two-bedroom apartments for private sale. The works are expected to be completed on the site by the end of the year. Morrison Community Care Group Managing Director Paul Soakey said, "This new development represents a significant investment for the Linlithgow community, which, like many across Scotland, has a shortfall of modern accommodation for its elderly population. Purpose-built to help address this growing demand by providing best-in-class residential, nursing and dementia care services, the facility will offer valuable support to our NHS and stimulate localised job creation with up to 100 roles available across a wide variety of disciplines." Morrison's Community Care and CCG formed their innovative joint venture company in 2021. Combining 30 years of experience in Scotland's care sector with pioneering construction methods to deliver a home from home for people over the age of 65. Known as Morrison Community Care CCG Holdco, it is their second such project in West Lothian in as many years, having completed Almond Valley Care Home in Almondside, Livingston in late 2024. Mr. Soakey continued, "Our care homes follow a well-considered blueprint that gives priority to the residents' comfort. Alongside private ensuite bedrooms, each resident will have access to dining facilities with meals cooked by professionally trained chefs, a hair salon and a cinema, as well as tailored spaces that can be enjoyed privately with family members. The layout of the home itself is specially designed to manage infection control and mitigate the risk of any future pandemics, while an array of internal and external communal areas will help foster a sense of community for residents and staff alike." Glasgow-based CCG is one of Scotland's largest privately owned construction businesses. The firm will work alongside an expert design team to deliver the development, comprising Holmes Miller, Cowell Design, Design Me, and CRGP surveyors, while also taking responsibility for the sale of the 18 two-bedroom apartments through their private housing arm, CCG Homes. The apartments will be offered with luxury specifications as standard and will be low carbon thanks to the use of state-of-the-art energy-efficient technologies, including internal exhaust air heat pumps. CCG Managing Director David Wiley said, "We are delighted to break ground in Linlithgow. It is yet another milestone in the journey of Morrison Community Care, CCG Holdco, and a wonderful example of the CCG Group's collective offering, with the extent of our divisional expertise being utilised across both strands of this unique development. The expansion of CCG Homes into West Lothian is also significant, as it represents the first time the brand has operated in the region since its relaunch in 2018. CCG Homes' standing in the private housing market is strong, with a portfolio of sites across the Central Belt. We are very confident the luxury specification, enhanced sustainability credentials, and the incredibly well-connected town centre location will be of great interest to buyers moving to Linlithgow in the next 18 months.
Councillors back a new 20 miles per hour plan, and this article is also by Stuart Somerville. Councillors have backed plans to begin the rollout of the national 20 miles per hour strategy across communities in West Lothian. Consultation will begin in the largest communities on streets selected for the new speed limit before a community consultation begins. But there remain questions about long-term Holyrood funding for the scheme and how the new 20 mile per hour zones will be policed. Kenneth Brown, the Roads Network Manager, told a meeting of the Council's executive that a review of the 586 residential areas considered under the 2024-25 Accident Investigation and Prevention Programme shows that this tackles the areas with most residential casualties first. The plan is to introduce the Scottish Government scheme in 3 tiers. The first tier includes Livingston, including Polbeth and West Calder, and Badgate and Blackburn. The second phase would include Broxburn and Uphall, Linlithgow, Armadale and Whitburn. The third phase would include all other remaining settlements. Funding for the introduction of the scheme has been guaranteed for the next 2 financial years. Mr Brown said all 9 local area committees covering communities across the council areas would be consulted and provided with maps and streets proposed for the change. Alongside local member consultation and that with community councils, the council will also conduct an online public survey. Broxburn Conservative councillor Angela Dorn-Timson said, "How much will it cost the council for subsequent years if funding isn't forthcoming?" Mr Brown said it was the council's intention to get as much funding from Transport Scotland as possible to implement the scheme, but should it fall short, it could use its own Accident Prevention Fund to roll out the scheme. There are other founding schemes within Transport Scotland which can be tapped into as well. Councillor Damien Dorn-Timson, Conservative Group Leader, said, "I would be concerned if funding doesn't come from Transport Scotland. The council would have to find funds elsewhere. If no money is forthcoming, I would not want to see the council spending a penny of its own money on this. How effective the scheme will be with regard to management of these 20 miles per hour limits is open for debate." Angela Dorn-Timson said it was unfortunate that the Scottish Government had not given the council money to fix potholes before the unwanted and unwarranted 20 miles an hour speed limits are introduced. Pauline Stafford, the SNP Deputy Group Leader, said, "I really welcome this funding coming forward from the Scottish Government, and I also welcome the fact that they have left it up to local authority to determine what's right for their communities, to unlike the experience in Wales." She added that, as a mother, she welcomed speed reductions which would help make children safer. She pointed to her experience of living in the Netherlands, where children travelled much more independently, cycling on safer roads. Councillor Tom Con's motion to introduce the temporary traffic restriction orders and start the consultation process was accepted by the meeting. He again stressed that the speed limits would be introduced only on appropriate roads. Councillor Con also criticised an amendment put forward by Damien Dorn-Timson, calling for the final decision to come to full council rather than the executive, stressing that local councillors would have a say at local area committees. After the meeting, Councillor Con, the executive councillor of the Environment and Sustainability, added, "Evidence shows that driving at 20 miles an hour can drastically improve a person's chances of surviving an accident or escaping serious injury. The common sense approach to the implementation plan in appropriate urban areas being taken in West Lothian will see speed limits reduced in the busiest areas first. This will improve road safety for the maximum number of local residents as soon as possible."
Time to deliver on new village medical centre, article by Ross Thompson. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton is urging the Scottish Government to step up and deliver the funding needed to secure a new medical centre for residents in East Calder. The village in West Lothian has seen its local population grow rapidly in recent years, with the current centre, which was originally designed to support 4,500 patients, now facing a patient list of over 14,000 and predicted to take on over 5,000 more by the year 2028. This has left the 1970s facility unfit for purpose and raised growing safety concerns among residents. Gregor joined Lothian's MSP Faisal Chowdhury to visit the site to meet with local campaigners, hear their concerns and take stock of the issues facing staff. Gregor said, "I've seen firsthand the brilliant service the staff offer to the local community, and now it is time to give them a building that befits their efforts. The current medical centre is into its 5th decade of service now, and unfortunately, it is starting to show. It has neither the capacity nor facilities required to adequately provide for the local residents, and frankly, they deserve better. East Calder is home to a growing number of young families, and it is incumbent on the Scottish Government to make sure they have the support they need. Around £400,000 is required to pay for the initial design phase and complete the business case to put in place all the money required for a new medical centre. And I am calling on the Scottish Government to provide these funds so the proposals can be moved forward. The bottom line is that there is no excuse not to." The recent Labour budget delivers the largest funding settlement for Scotland in the history of devolution, providing the Scottish Government with an additional £1.5 billion in funding. The money is there for vital provisions like this. Scotland is heading in a new direction under this UK government, and part of that journey is making sure the hard-working, tax-paying residents in places like East Calder no longer have to make do when it comes to local services. Mr Poynton and Mr Chowdhury have jointly written to both Neil Gray, MSP, Cabinet Secretary for Health and Social Care, and NHS Lothian, calling for funding for the business case for a new facility and asking for government oversight of progress to ensure there are no further delays or rising costs that could jeopardise the project. They have also requested a date for the forthcoming meeting between NHS Lothian and Scottish Government officials next month so they can monitor progress alongside the East Calder Health Centre campaign group. Last week, Almond Valley SNP MSP Angela Constance reaffirmed her support for the community campaign for a new health centre in East Calder. The MSP has been attending cross-party meetings with Mr Gray and separately with senior figures from NHS Lothian. Ms Constance said, "I will continue to support the community campaign for a new health centre all the way. Everyone agrees that the current East Calder Health Centre is not fit for purpose. With the community continuing to grow, it is imperative that West Lothian Health and Social Care Partnership, NHS Lothian and the Scottish Government work together to find a solution that meets the needs of local people."
Garden Centre pledge for Alzheimer's charity, an article by Rose Thompson. Dobie's Livingston store is pledging to raise funds for Alzheimer's Research UK as the Garden Centre announces its new national charity partner. Dementia is the UK's biggest killer, and right now almost 1 million people in the UK are living with it, putting precious memories and lives at risk. This partnership with Alzheimer's Research UK will see Dobie's highlight the benefits of garden living for brain health and, through colleagues and customer activity, raise vital funds to support research to help find a cure for dementia. This new partnership follows on from a successful national appeal made by Dobie's to charities across the UK. The partnership will launch from March 2025 with a year-round programme to educate on the impact of dementia and encourage donations that will fund research. Dobie's Garden Centre's CEO, David Robinson, said, "When we were looking for a new charity partner that would be the right fit for us and resonate with our customers, Alzheimer's Research UK stood out as an ideal choice." As well as fundraising to help research into a cure for dementia, our aim through this partnership to inspire people to keep their brains healthy. Gardening can really help this through stimulating both body and mind, and staying connected with other people is also very important. In our Livingston store, we have everything needed to help people garden, and throughout our restaurant and events, we also help bring people together. As we celebrate 160 years of helping British gardeners to grow, we're really proud to be embarking on this important new partnership. Chief Executive Officer at Alzheimer Research UK, Hilary Evans-Newton, added, "We're excited to join forces with Dobbies. Brains are like gardens. When well tended and looked after, they can flourish. We'll work together with Dobbies to inspire their community to protect their brain health through activities like gardening, while raising vital funds for a cure for dementia. If nothing changes, 1 in 2 of us will be directly affected by dementia, either by caring for someone with the condition, developing it ourselves, or both. Alzheimer's Research UK exists to change this. With Dobbies standing with us, we will speed up our progress and the heartbreak dementia causes sooner."
Cops hunt vandals. A West Lothian school was attacked in a reckless act of vandalism, which saw windows smashed in an office and a school vehicle. The attack took place on Friday, February 21st at Pinewood School in Blackburn. West Lothian Council said they were made aware of the incident, but that no one was harmed. However, the incident saw an office window smashed and the windows destroyed on the primary school's minibus. Initial assessments have shown repairs will cost around £2,000 to fix the vehicle. The council fleet team has already started repairs to ensure the minibus can be returned to the school as soon as possible. West Lothian Council shared on social media, "Thankfully no one was hurt in the incidents. However, an office window was smashed with more significant damage occurring to the school's minibus. Anyone with information regarding the incident is urged to pass it on to police." A council spokesperson said this is incredibly mindless and reckless behaviour that could have endangered individuals at Pinewood. Thankfully, no one was hurt in the incidents. However, the school minibus will be out of action for a number of days and unavailable for the children at Pinewood while repairs are completed. We'd urge anyone with any information to please contact Police Scotland by calling 101.
Government to decide dog park's future. An article by Stuart Somerville. Plans to maintain a dog exercise park on the southern fringe of Livingston have gone to appeal at the Scottish Government. H&A Russell appealed the refusal of their application for the park last September in fields at Murison Castle Farm, Livingston. West Lothian's Development Management Committee, DMC, heard sometimes emotional evidence from the nearest neighbours who live in a cul-de-sac on the edge of Murison. They complained about constant noise from barking dogs drifting across fields from the park at Murison Castle Farm to the southwest. The dog-run park was on land belonging to the farm, which is outside the settlement boundary of the new town, with the nearest residents living in Skyvoe Wynd, a little over half a mile away and northwards up a slope. Agents disputed the noise claims, saying barking dogs are commonly heard in the suburbs. Speaking to the DMC in September, one resident asked, "Why can't the residents who bought these homes be left to live in peace?" And she added that, if permission was granted, I might like if someone could explain why dogs got preference over human beings. The applicants had applied in retrospect for planning permission for a change of use from agricultural land to a dog exercise field. Notification of the appeal against the rejection was delivered to councillors at the February meeting of the DMC this week. In papers submitted to the Division of Planning and Environmental Appeals, agents for the applicant said the council maintains their position that the proposed development would have a detrimental impact on the residential amenity of local residents. They have, however, not substantiated this claim with evidence, and it is within contrast to the opinion of their own environmental health officer, who was content that barking, while potentially still audible, would not be at a level that would cause concern. The applicants had submitted a noise impact assessment with the planning application, which concluded that the revised site boundaries would ensure that potential noise levels from barking would be kept to acceptable levels for nearby residential properties. The agents added, "It is noted that the neighbour objections came from residential properties at Skyville Wynd. This is a suburban-type residential area where it will be common for residents to be dog owners. The noise levels emitted from the proposed development would not be any louder than the noise level from barking dogs within the gardens of surrounding residential properties on the street." And they asserted barking dogs would likely be a common background noise feature in this type of setting. The agents also cast doubt on the council's claim there is no locational justification for the exercise park, given the surrounding green space and footpaths and parks in and around leafy Muirston. The agents added, "We uphold that this argument is irrelevant, as the proposed development is not intended to suit every dog walker, but serves a purpose for those dog owners who need a secure facility to let their dogs off the lead in a controlled environment. These individuals would not typically use the existing green spaces or nearby no-walking routes and tend to seek more rural and isolated locations or use similar developments out with the local area. The council has lodged a response to the appeal, and a Scottish Government-appointed reporter will decide the application."
£200 million is a game changer for Grangemouth. Article by Ross Thompson. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton has welcomed the UK Government's commitment to invest £200 million in Grangemouth as part of a major effort to secure its long-term future and create new opportunities in Scotland's industrial heartland. The investment, announced by Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer at the Scottish Labour Conference in Glasgow, will be delivered through the National Wealth Fund and aims to unlock private sector investment to ensure Grangemouth remains a hub for clean energy and skilled jobs. Alongside this, the UK Government has confirmed a training guarantee for Grangemouth refinery workers, ensuring that anyone who wants skills training at a local college will be fully supported. This initiative will help workers transition into new, well-paid jobs with local employers. Gregor said this investment is a game changer for Grangemouth and the wider area, including the Livingston constituency. Many of my constituents work at the refinery or in businesses that depend on its future, and this announcement is a clear commitment to supporting them. The cash for Grangemouth comes in the same week First Minister John Swinney announced an additional £25 million to establish a fund to help secure the future of Grangemouth. The First Minister confirmed to the Scottish Parliament last week that an amendment will be lodged to the Scottish Government's 2025-26 budget bill to allocate an additional £25 million to establish a Grangemouth Just Transition Fund. Linlithgow SNP MSP Fiona Hislop said, "Many of my constituents work at the Grangemouth refinery, and I am pleased to see the Scottish Government is committing £25 million to support these workers going forward. I understand the news of the planned closure of the refinery will be causing significant concerns for workers and their families, and I hope that this announcement will reassure them that the Scottish Government is committed to providing meaningful support going forward. The aim of this fund is to expedite any of the potential solutions that will be set out in the Project Willow report."
All is forgiven after the Lions' late show. Ayr United 1 and Livingston 2. Tete Yenge went from raging at Robbie Muirhead to hailing him a hero after his sublime 96-minute free kick earned Livingston what could be a mammoth 3 points in the title race. Muirhead curled in a magical finish with practically the last kick of the game, finding the top bin with a long-range free kick to earn the Lions their second win of the season in Ayrshire. The late drama came after Denny Wilson's first half header was cancelled out by a superb leveller from Ayr sub Marco Roos. Yengi wasn't happy moments before the 96th minute winner when Muirhead made a mess of a simple pass to put him through on goal. But it didn't take long to forgive him. As Yengi said, it was an unbelievable goal. It was late in the game and I thought his legs were done. But he somehow just pulled it out. I was raging earlier because I was free when we had the chance before it. But he made up for it and I am happy. It definitely would be a huge moment. We see him do that almost every day in training and we have faith in him. Luckily, he's managed to do it for us there. You can't beat that feeling. You saw how happy the whole bench was when it went in. It was so good. We knew we had to get the 3 points. These are the games you need to win. These are the type of tough matches that decide leagues. We are so happy to get the win. And there's a super photograph of Yengi and Muirhead and they are roaring very happily.
Livingston 3, Morton 2. Lions can hit the summit. Article by Paul Thompson. Livingston number 2 Brian Rice says the chance to go top of the table on Friday night will be a huge incentive for the Lions in the championship title race. The Lions moved to within a point of leaders Falkirk after a battling 3-2 win at home to Morton, which saw David Martindale's men recover from a goal down to take the spoils. After Aaron Lyle gave Ton the lead after 28 minutes, a quick-fire 3-goal blitz from the hosts turned the game on its head before half-time, with Tete Yengi, Danny Wilson and Andrew Shinney all netting in the space of 8 minutes. Niall McGinn's strike in second half stoppage time proved just a consolation for the visitors, but the results now provide Livy with the chance to go ahead of Falkirk when they travel to Partick Thistle on Friday night, although the Bairns would then have 2 games in hand going into their Saturday clash at Hamilton Accies. Rice said that's the incentive to try and go and win at Partick and go top of the league. It will be a battle and a scrap, and we've got to earn the right to go and win the game. Nothing comes easy in this league and we are finding that out, but we've got a group that will fight for everything. When Friday night comes, it will be another tough game, but hopefully we can keep the good run of form going. The Lions are on a nine-game unbeaten run in all competitions, and reflecting on the win over Morton, Rice added, "It has been a tough run of fixtures for us, and it was tough again tonight. We had a poor start, lost an early goal, but we responded really well. Then we took control of the game, lost control of the game, and it got a wee bit nervy at the end. But the most important thing was to win, and we did that. It was a really poor goal for us to lose, but it was a really good one from their point of view." The Lions are fighting on 3 fronts, with a Scottish Cup quarter-final against St Johnstone and an SPFL Trust Trophy final against Queen's Park, both coming up next month. But Rice says they just need to embrace it. He added, "The games are coming around thick and fast. We have been successful so far. We're still in the cup competitions. We've got the cup final coming up. We are challenging in the league, so we just need to adapt to the fixtures."
Linlithgow enjoy 8-try triumph. The Linlithgow Rugby Club racked up a ruthless 61-14 win over Hamilton in a National League 4 on Saturday. The 8th try win in the last home fixture of the season leaves the Reds 4th in the table with 2 games remaining. Reds kicked off with a significant breeze behind them and dominated the early exchanges, including the line-out, with hooker Kyle Ormond finding his targets, providing regular ball to the backs. Within the first few minutes, Connor Findlay created the opening try when he reversed a long pass to Jack Frame, who spotted a large hole in the Hamilton defence and cruised through for a try, which he converted. Sensible decision-making saw Reds keep the scoreboard ticking over as they elected to kick for goal from just inside the Hamilton half of the field, with Frame thumping it over. This was closely followed by an easier one when Findlay was illegally tackled, giving Reds a 13-0 lead. The next try was a real team effort, with Jamie Tulloch securing ball from a Hamilton line-out overthrow, and he passed to the midfield backs. Rue Stewart made good ground before being stopped, but Ross Martin timed his run perfectly and almost reached the line before being hauled down. After some attempts to cross, tidying up work by Cammy Murray and Murray Johnston allowed Reds to create space on the left, with Stewart sending Archie Roussac in for a try that was converted by Frame. Linlithgow's next score came straight from Hamilton's restart, when Frame picked up a dropped ball and flicked a pass to Stewart, who ran fully 80 metres to score unopposed. Reds bagged their bonus point try when Ormond found Oscar Davies in a line-out, and the forward pack drove over the line, with Tulloch emerging as the scorer. Hamilton got on the scoreboard with a forward try after some indiscipline by the home defence, which was converted. There was still time in the half for another home try, and Kieran Cochrane showed good hands to shift a ball to hooker Ormond, who made an extravagant leap over the line to touchdown, with Frame converting for a 37-7 half-time score. The first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half was scrappy, as Hamilton upped their intensity and put the home defence under some considerable pressure. Reds conceded a converted try during this phase, but their defence otherwise held up well, and they picked up another 24 unanswered points. Frame's penalty settled the nerves, and he then scored an individual try from 70 metres, having picked up a pass from Findlay, with Frame converting. Callum Lindsay made a typical battering run and was stopped just short of the line, but Reds pack shoved Hamilton's over the line and Davies dotted down, with Frame then converting. The final try of the day was scored by Stuart Cunningham, who played a few parts in the move before running in unopposed. Findlay converted for the final 61-14 score. Linlithgow travelled to 6th place White Craigs on Saturday. And there's obviously a try being scored here. There's a good photograph, and the caption is "Breaks through. Rue Stewart finds a gap in the Hamilton defence to score," and he looks very, very determined.
Golden Glee for Logan in Falkirk race. West Lothian athlete Logan Beagley is celebrating after winning gold at the Lindsay National Cross Country Championships and atoning for missing out on the podium in last year's event. Logan, who competes for Central Athletic Club, came out on top in the men's race in Falkirk, winning one of the tighter races of the day, as Harris Paget of Strathearn Harriers took silver and Andrew McWilliams of Lasswade won the bronze. Logan said, "I was 4th in this race last year and gutted at the time to miss the podium. So to come back and win in a strong field is great. There were a few of us running together for a spell, but I was ahead into the final stages and I loved running into the tape." The event had an inclusive approach and covered 10 races for age groups from under 13 right through to the senior men and a non-binary race. And there's a picture of Logan running up a gradual decline in beautiful sunshine. And everybody who's watching him is very well dressed, so it must have been cold.
And if you fancy some sports yourselves, there's weekly leisure classes for those living with Parkinson's. This article is by Rose Thompson. Excite West Lothian Leisure has launched 3 new weekly classes for people living with Parkinson's. They can sign up now for the Falls Prevention class at Excite Broxburn, Stationary Cycle at Excite Bathgate, or the Wellbeing Circuit session at Excite East Calder. The programme has been developed to be accessible to people living across the region, with activities designed in consultation with people living with Parkinson's. It's already having an impact, with positive feedback being received. He feels a lot stronger in the legs and his balance has improved, said the carer of one of the participants. He mentioned he was struggling to climb the stairs and doing one step at a time in a shuffling motion, but now he is able to climb the stairs no problem, with only using the banister if he really needs to. Parkinson's UK supported the development of the sessions through the charity's Physical Activity Grant programme. Amanda Mackay, Physical Activity Delivery Manager for Parkinson's UK, said, "Being physically active is hugely beneficial for everyone, but particularly for people living with Parkinson's. We are delighted to be working with Excite West Lothian Leisure to offer these free physical activity sessions. We encourage as many people as possible in the area who are living with Parkinson's to come along and give it a go. Parkinson's is the fastest growing neurological condition in the world, affecting almost 13,000 people in Scotland. Experienced exercise instructors run the sessions, which are ideal for those recently diagnosed or with mild to moderate symptoms. However, the level of exercise will be adapted to the ability of the individuals taking part. Instructors have undertaken exercise considerations for Parkinson's training delivered by Parkinson's UK. Participants can self-refer to the programme by contacting the Health and Wellbeing team at Excite West Lothian's Leisure on 01506 237 950. Lisa Hunter, Health and Wellbeing Manager at Excite West Lothian Leisure, said, "We're excited to partner with Parkinson's UK to provide tailored physical activity opportunities for individuals living with Parkinson's. Staying active can greatly enhance people's balance, mobility, coordination and overall quality of life. Our delivery model has been developed in collaborations with individuals with lived experience, offering activities such as falls prevention, stationary cycling and circuit training. We look forward to collaborating with a range of partners and third sector organisations to promote these opportunities and engage with the community." And there's photographs here with people on the stationary bikes cycling away, and some people who look as if they're pulling weights, and others who are doing just exercises, raising their arms and lifting their legs, etc. Well, that's us at the end of this week's recording. So when you finish listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the top right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
Goodbye from me, Sarah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.